Welcome to the Vault Report. I'm here once again with Davidson head coach Matt McKillop. Wildcats 10-4 in the season, have won 7 of their last 8. Obviously, I want to start with, the recent loss to a great Dayton team. Obviously, preseason favorite for a reason. They have played well. Just for you, home opener, we've talked about this, a young team. How do you feel like you guys responded, despite dropping this one?
Well, we'll find out tomorrow. We didn't play this weekend with our bye weekend. We have Rhode Island coming into our home gym tomorrow. We've responded pretty well in practice. Really pleased with the focus, the toughness, and seeing some of the mistakes that were consistently made throughout that Dayton game on film. Our players have responded well, but in reality, that's who they've been all year. They've shown an ability to respond, whether it was a close loss to Clemson, a tough road loss to East Tennessee State, and then to St. Mary's out west. Like we've responded well when our backs have been against the wall. So hopefully we'll have a chance to show that tomorrow with our performance against Rhode Island.
Absolutely. And, you look at that game, I obviously do want to look ahead, but just, the bench, I think they had benched more than half your points. You could look at that as, the bench stepped up. Obviously, probably need a little bit more from your starters. But, just this season, again, a young group coming off the bench, gaining experience each game. But how impressed have you been with those guys able to step up maybe when your starters aren't doing what they should?
Yeah, it's all circumstantial, and we did not have David Skogman in the lineup on both our win at in Cleveland against Ohio U and then against Dayton, and we picked up some early fouls with our front court with Sean Logan and Reed Bailey in the opening minutes or first 10 minutes of that first half against Dayton, and these guys have earned our trust in different ways, and what we've said throughout the preseason and throughout the last 2 months was just continue to put yourself in position to be ready when called upon. And Rikus Schulte, he's had moments this year where he's gotten some extended minutes, and Ricky Gadini has not. But Ricky Gadini came in and he was ready to play, and he made some big things happen for us in the first half to kind of keep us in the center of the ring and keep punching. That Dayton team, like you said, they are really good. It's crazy. They lose a guy who's now starting in the NBA in Kamara from last year, but they've found a way to continue to develop their players to an incredibly high level. They've added some really good pieces, and then when you have the presence of Deron Holmes, and you can spread out the defense with the shooting of Brea and the shooting of Santos. They are a nightmare to match up with.
And you mentioned obviously circumstantial health, a big part of this, this Dayton game, obviously Ohio as well. Just overall, I know you can't dive into certain things. I don't know how much you can, I should say, but your health going into this matchup with URI. Again, Atlantic 10 play, I want to talk about this URI team, but health wise, how are you guys going into this?
I'm hopeful that we'll be at full strength. David Skogman, who we've had so many different guys step up in different moments, and we've had different leading scorers in many games. But you look at the numbers, and I analyze the statistics, but then I'm watching the replay of the Dayton Davidson game, and it shows the little infographic of David, and then he leads us in scoring, and he leads us in rebounding, and he leads us in field goal percentage, and it's like, oh man, we need him back. So he's progressing well. Very hopeful that he'll be on the court for us tomorrow night. And we've got an incredible training staff and strength staff, and for us to have only had one player miss 2 games due to injury throughout the whole year, knock on wood, is pretty remarkable. But that's what's expected with the presence of our medical staff and how great of a job they do with our team.
And you were right, as you mentioned, this is a team, I think for most, maybe casual Atlantic 10 fans, they had a tough stretch in December, but this is also a totally different team, healthy team. Obviously, David Green, a guy who's coming back, who's only played in 2 games, has made an impact. What have you seen from the tape? What are you guys going to need to do to be successful, at home this week?
Well, we've got to become better Davidson players than we've been, regardless of who our opponent is. And, I think 2 or 3 of the things that have really not been as sharp in the last few games for us has been just our inability to take care of the basketball the way that we expect to take care of the basketball. I think we've had 31 turnovers combined in our last 2 games, and Rhode Island is an aggressive team. They're a physical team. They're an athletic team, and they can force turnovers. If you don't play smart, you don't play sharp. So we have to do that, and that has to do with Rhode Island, but it really has to do with ourselves. We gave up a lot of transition baskets to Dayton, and I felt we defended them fairly well in the half court, well enough against a team that is so efficient offensively as Dayton. But we didn't give ourselves enough chances to defend them in the half court. One, because we gave them second chance opportunities, and two, because we let them get free in transition too often. So those are two things that that Rhode Island can do very well. They can push the ball, especially recently. They've been pushing the ball better, whether it's the result of Green's presence, whether it's the result of now they've gelled a little bit, having had games and experiences underneath them with this group that they have. But I think we have to take care of the basketball. I think we have to defend in the half court well by putting ourselves in position and by not giving up transition baskets.
Definitely. And last question, playing at home again, you mentioned in that Dayton game how much the crowd kind of lifted you up, just the importance of playing at home, taking care of business, because, again, conference play, every game is going to be tough, taking care of that home floor and having that support, benefit of that for you guys.
Yeah, conference play is different. And the interesting thing, I don't think there was much expectations for us this year, and we didn't think about that, dwell on that. And then all of a sudden we have a pretty good stretch of non-conference play. We have some good wins. We go on the road and we win against Ohio U. And now all of a sudden there's some expectations. So we've got to be able to handle that. But the best way to handle that is to do it at home. And I think I mentioned one of the post-game radio shows or press conferences, which you're alluding to, about the presence of our fans. And we did not play well against Dayton. And if you look at it, we could have lost that game by more than 13, and we had multiple shots to make it a single-digit game in the last 6-7 minutes of that game. But the crowd just gave us just enough energy, especially with the young players that we had and we relied upon in that game. And that does make such a huge difference. And it can swing a game in one direction or the other direction. And thankfully, it didn't swing in the wrong direction to the level it could have if you're playing on the road, or if you don't have a crowd that can motivate and excite your players. And, we have a great environment here. We have great fans, and hopefully they'll come out in full force tomorrow against Rhode Island and for the rest of Atlantic 10 play, because this team has shown that we've got a chance to do something special. And, now there may be some expectations on us that people didn't necessarily believe we could do to accomplish some things that people didn't necessarily believe that we could do early on. And hopefully they come to support us.
Well, as I say, expectations are always good, right? It means you're doing something right. So, obviously, best of luck this week. I appreciate the time as always. And we'll be in touch.
Well, thank you, Nathan. And thank you for being such a great supporter of A10 basketball. It's a really, really tough A10 season. I say tough A10 season. There's some really good teams in the A10 that are all playing really well right now. And that's terrific for the league. Doesn't make us sleep any easier at night as coaches, but we certainly get excited to take the court against this level of competition.
Well, absolutely. I know I'd be remiss. That game was 9 years, I believe, to the day, right? That you guys joined the Atlantic 10, I believe. I think I read that it's been
that sounds right. Yeah, 2014, 2015 was our first year in the A10. So 9 years.
Well, you guys have made your presence
yesterday,
felt.
But
you made your presence felt for sure.
Well, we got a lot to work on, so hopefully our presence can be felt tomorrow night.
Absolutely. All right. Well, good luck, Coach. Talk to you soon.
Thanks, Nathan.